Welcome to the Rock at 2 o'clock. We continue our rolling coverage of the election. Of course, we're getting results trickling in, slow but sure. And I do have in studio with me Professor Peter Duvenage. He's an independent political analyst, and Dr. Ndumiso Ncingo. He's from the CSIR. They've been giving us some analysis. Dr. Singo has been giving us more data, as he's from the CSIR, and Professor Duvenage giving us his analysis. Gentlemen, let's take a look at Gauteng. We do have some data that's come out in terms of the race for votes. My colleagues have that, and that they should be able to present that on our screens. Yeah. So let me just find it myself. I do have it to hand. And so we do see that the ANC is in the lead at 36.3%. The DA behind at 31.15%. The EFF 12.52%. Action SA, which of course we knew would do quite well in Johannesburg, is at 6.32%, and others at 13.71%. Of course, this is in terms of the votes that have been counted thus far. This is the picture that we're seeing, and clearly there is going to be an element of coalitions that we can see from this. Perhaps you can speak to these numbers and maybe give us a bit more clarity, Dr. Ncingo.
So what you've given is the current standings, and again we will give the projections of what the model is saying, and not too different from what you mentioned. So I think now we're beginning to have a convergence between the prediction and the actual. The prediction for the ANC is 19.7%. 36.7%. Okay. 19.7 is the total declared. DA 30.7. Okay. And EFF 12.5. And then when you go down to Action SA, it stands at projected 7.4. And the other significant party in that region is Freedom Front Plus at 4.7%.
Professor Duvenage, we know that Action SA was founded by Herman Mashaba. He's an interesting personality, was the mayor of Johannesburg, has experience of running the metro and so on and so forth. Your thoughts around Action SA and the kind of role they're likely to play in the metro?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct there that Herman Mashaba is a very dynamic, charismatic politician, but he has also earned his worth, by being the mayor of Johannesburg earlier on, and therefore he knows what the management and how do you have a big campaign about things, and I think in some way or another he just succeeded. Other people have failed in the past, and if you look at the projections, in terms of Johannesburg, he's doing really well, and his party is really doing well. So I think you're absolutely correct that this is one of the. It is very localized. It's more Johannesburg than Tshwane and elsewhere, but I think this is this could be a growing point for Action SA.
Yeah.
If they and he has the ability, it seems, to get the masses behind him. No, okay, it's 10% prediction at this stage, around there. But, from 0 to 10 is not bad in South African politics.
Perhaps I can ask my colleagues to bring up the Johannesburg graphic in terms of the race for votes, where we can get a more specific picture, and we can. Yep, please, if we can get that graphic up, where we see a more clearer picture in terms of how Action SA is doing. The ANC is at 34.55%, the DA at 25.25%, and Action SA at 17.89%. That's quite lofty indeed. EFF at 11.42% and other at 10.89%. So this kind of better contextualizes what we're talking about, because we were talking about the bigger picture of Gauteng. So Action SA is going to be a force to be reckoned with, I guess.
Absolutely. I think that 17% will come off a bit, but it tells you there's something happening. And it seems like Action SA got the votes both from the DA, but also from the ANC. I would say. And that is fascinating, because it means it's a metropolitan party that is in a certain sense beyond our old politics. There's something happening there. Yeah. And that we should, I think, as commentators, but also as normal South African citizens, we should take notice of what is happening.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the Tshwane numbers as well, specifically. I think they're up. The DA is in the lead there at 40.4%, the ANC at 28.16%, and the Freedom Front Plus at 10.5%, the EFF at 9.15%, other at 11.55%. So very interesting indeed. Yet another coalition in the cooking there, of course.
Yeah, I would say this is a fascinating picture because you could get a different type of coalition here in Tshwane than in Johannesburg. Look, in Johannesburg it's going to be the DA and the ANC, and who's going to get the people. It's almost like the same now. But in Tshwane it's different. You could get a scenario of the DA at around 36% projection. 10%, I think the projection is around 6 or 8, around 8 for the Freedom Front Plus, and then Action SA around 5 or 6, that you can get very near to 50 there.
Yeah.
And that would be a different kind of coalition than in Johannesburg.
Well, this is where we bring in our projector, Dr. Ndumiso. What are your projections, in terms of Tshwane?
So interesting, the projection here appears slightly different for the two parties from what the current standings are. So the current standings are at around 29-30% for the ANC and close to 40% for DA. But the projections are saying that they are likely to end neck and neck with 33.4% for the ANC and 34.2% for the DA. Now, as I've done before, I always say for the model, that's within that area of margin of 1%. And so whenever in the past we've actually managed to, even in the city of Tshwane, where in 2019, the two parties were neck and neck for a very long time. And they ended up very, very close to each other. And so they picking the winner through the model becomes a very difficult thing because that 1 percentage point could go either way.
Yeah, at least for the benefit of our viewers, my colleagues have put up the projections of CSIR in terms of Tshwane. So we'll see. It's not until all the votes are counted and everything has been declared that we'll know what's what. Dr. Ndumiso, just in terms of your models and your projections, how reliable and credible have they been, in past elections, just for the viewer to get a sense of, how on the ball you guys are?
Yes. Overall, the models have been very accurate and reliable, of course, to within a certain level of error, 1% or thereabouts. So in 2009 national elections, for example, the model was of the ANC final percentage by 1%, but that was with only 5% of the votes counted. And with the DA, it was about 1.1%. Fast forward to 2019, again, national elections, the model 4.8% counted. For both ANC and DA, it predicted to within 0.3%. So it's also been getting better over the years. However, a caveat that I must put forward here is that with the national elections, we've got a bigger number to deal with. And therefore, the statistics get a bit more accurate in terms of the prediction.
Yes.
With local government elections, because we do it province by province, so each set of predictions is done at provincial level. So you're dealing with smaller numbers, and therefore the predictions take a bit longer to stabilize.
Yes.
And Sometimes we will get it maybe a percentage or two off, but overall, very good performance in general.
Yeah.
I gave you the example of eThekwini in 2016, where voting districts the results were not released until 2 o'clock in the afternoon the following day. Surprising situation that we didn't expect, but we just trained the model on it. We got it to predict, and with 0% from eThekwini.
0% data. You had no data to play with.
Nothing whatsoever. It predicted to within 8% of what the final outcome was. And that is a feature of the model in that it is designed to borrow also results from other voting districts to predict even in those voting districts where you don't have results as yet.
Gentlemen, we're going to take a pause there, or it might actually be an end to our discussion. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining us. Professor Peter Duvenage, independent political analyst, and Dr. Ndumiso Tringo of the CSIR. Let's hand back to my colleague now.